There's a room you avoid. You know it's there. You can hear voices through the door. Laughter, conversation, the sound of people being easy with each other. You've walked past it dozens of times. Sometimes you slow down. Sometimes you pause at the threshold, hand hovering near the handle. But you don't go in. You tell yourself you will, next time, when you're ready, when you've thought of something worth saying, when the timing is better, when you feel less like this. The reasons are always good ones. You're tired. You're not dressed right. You wouldn't know anyone. You just stand there, awkward and visible, with nothing to contribute. Better to wait. Better to prepare. Better to avoid the moment where you're seen and found lacking. So you keep walking. And each time you do, the room becomes a little more impossible. The threshold gets higher. The gap between who you are and who you'd need to be gets wider. The voices inside sound more confident, more fluent, more at ease than you could ever manage. The room stops being a place you might enter and becomes a place you've already failed to enter, a door you've passed too many times to walk through now. This is the architecture of avoidance. It doesn't look like running away. It looks like reasonable caution. It looks like choosing your moment. It looks like self-protection. And it is protection. The room asks something of you. It asks you to be seen without controlling how you're perceived. It asks you to exist in a space where judgment is possible, where awkwardness is visible, where you might say the wrong thing or stand in the wrong place, or be quietly dismissed as someone who doesn't quite belong. Avoidance removes all of that. Outside the room, you remain undefined. You can't fail an interaction that never happens. You can't be rejected by people you never approach. You can't disappoint anyone who never expected you to show up. The cost is distant. The relief is immediate. But time does what it does. The room doesn't wait. The people inside stop noticing you've walked past. The invitation becomes assumed absence. The pattern hardens. What was once a choice, I'm not going in today, becomes a fact. I don't go to those things. And you're left with a different kind of room, quieter, safer, smaller. You tell yourself this is fine. You tell yourself the room was never really for you anyway. You tell yourself that the people inside wouldn't have understood, wouldn't have cared, wouldn't have made space for someone like you. Maybe that's true, maybe it isn't. But here's what you don't notice. You're still here. You slowed down. You paused. You heard the voices and felt the pull. You didn't run. You didn't collapse. You stood at the threshold even if you didn't cross it. That's not nothing. The story you tell yourself is about failure, the room you never entered, the connection you never made, the life you're not living. But the story your presence tells is different. You walked toward the room. You stopped at the edge. You wanted to go in. That's the first line of a very different story. Not the story of the person who entered, but the story of the person who stood at the threshold and didn't leave. One day, you might not go in, but you might stand in the doorway, and that will be enough.